is that this narrative that that pygmy women are seen as misogynistic means that it is difficult for them to even display these traits in the first place towards their feminine circles. And so these feminine people, the feminine circles, they do not accept wholeheartedly the pygmy woman and the traits that they're trying to display. And so pygmy women, they follow along this narrative to try to present themselves as likable or favorable towards masculine groups. Now, the one problem is that this narrative, once again, is too far. It does not consider the greater society, and to consider also, once again, as said before, pygmy women are also in oppression. And one more thing that we have to consider as well is that pygmy women are not so bad. Once again, uh, they're seeking out male attractions, which mean no harm, which what yeah would mean no harm to both parties as well. They are insecure and they require help. These 2 points will be discussed further by my deputy prime minister. Now let us consider a narrative in which let us consider a world in which this narrative does not exist, or in other words, in a world where we indeed regret this narrative that pygmy women are misogynistic. We are allowed to analyze better and understand pygmy women instead of ousting them as someone misogynistic. We can better analyze them and help them in their problems in why they want to seek this validation, in why they want to uh, kind of like present themselves as pygmy women for sorry for trying to gain attention from a lot of other people, especially the masculine party. And with this narrative, if this narrative were to continue existing, they will continuously be portrayed as someone who is misogynistic. And in this way, when this narrative is allowed to continue, that means that they are going to be they will continue to be ousted by feminine circles. They will continue to be ousted by masculine circles as well as a result. And so these pygmy women will have a will have a difficult life. Will have a difficult social life, which means that their life will be in potential despair. I further points will be elaborated by my deputy prime minister, and I rest my case.
All right, thank you very much, Prime Minister, for that wonderful speech. Before we move on, just wanting to say that this room is actually being recorded. So if anyone feels that they do not consent to being recorded, do let us know. Without further ado, Leader of Opposition.
Am I audible? All right.
Try speaking again.
Am I audible?
Yes, can hear you now.
Okay. So my pronouns are she, her, and my POI preference would be through chat. Right. So starting my speech. So this house does not agree with the motion that it regrets the narrative that big women are misogynist. Why is that so? Well, as the government has mentioned, picky women attribute their traits by putting down other women in the process. That in itself is the very definition of misogyny, because it's putting down a certain gender, regardless of what gender you are. Now, the main concern from government is that they worry that these pick-me women, when being called out, will be neglected and ostracized, which I'm trying to clarify is not what this side of the house is trying to do. We are simply calling them out, not to neglect them, but simply to make them stop their misogynistic behaviors. Why is that so? Well, we believe that these behaviors that they carry out are does a lot of harm to the women in the community. First of all, The rise of pick-me women will be used by men to justify gender-based discrimination, as well as the notion that women are not as good as men. It will reaffirm the notion that women are only worth something if they conform to masculine or male-oriented qualities. Why is that so? Because these women in these spaces will become a yes man for these men to become misogynistic. When a man says, oh, women are weak, they don't play sports, a pick-me woman can say, oh, yes, I agree. Other girls um, are weak for not playing sports. I don't understand that, but I myself, I play sports. Coming from a woman, because a man can hear that from a woman that, oh, a woman themselves have said that women are not strong or not cool enough if they don't play sports, then that reaffirms that in their head that what they think is correct. Furthermore, this discourages women from being feminine women. If you have someone in your circle saying, oh, why do you wear makeup? I don't wear makeup at all. That's such a hassle, that you're being too over. If someone keeps shooting you down for simply being who you are because you have feminine traits, certainly you will no longer feel that that is a safe space, and that will discourage the woman from being themselves, their feminine selves. Now, we are not saying that women who do sports or don't wear makeup or attribute to masculine activities are bad for the movement or bad in general. In fact, if they feel that that is encouraging to them and empowering for them, then go right ahead. The problem here is when they use those traits to put down other women, specifically those who are feminine. Now, another main concern that the government arises is that, oh, these pickly women come to be because they feel the need to be validated. They feel the need to be accepted, and they are themselves a victim of misogyny. Therefore, they attribute themselves to male qualities to be accepted. We agree with this. We agree that this is why pick-me women arise. Now, what we don't agree is with how they handle that situation. We believe that it is better for them to call out their misogynistic traits so that they stop. Because they do need validation, but what they are doing in the process by bringing feminine women down, that they are invalidating feminine women. So this creates a not so safe space all around. Now, if we call them out, not outcasting them, but calling out for their bad behavior, hopefully they will be able to stop and be able to embrace themselves. We want to make them feel accepted by just simply, one, being themselves, and two, not bringing other people down. Then this creates a safe space for all of the women in general, whether it be pick-me women who can finally feel the need that, oh, I can like sports without bringing down feminine women, or I can finally be feminine and not pretend to be masculine in order for men to like me. It is important to call out these behaviors so that these women, we can have a conversation with these women and say that, hey, what you are doing is wrong, and that we acknowledge that this behavior stems from, again, not feeling you are accepted by men, but there is a better way to do this than putting down other women, such as, one, embracing yourself and being empowering and embracing other women. This side of the house feels like women as a oppressed group should band together and really focus on who really is the main problem here, which is, we feel like, the patriarchy. We as women have to band together to defeat that purpose instead of fighting within our own groups. That is the end of my speech. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Leader of Opposition, for that wonderful speech. Now calling upon the Deputy Prime Minister. Here.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes,
I
loud
okay,
and clear.
all right, thank you. So my pronouns are whatever is most convenient because I understand I'm in a group with two other guys. Yeah, and what's it? Oh yeah, POI preference. Can someone like try raising the hand? Yeah, can someone try? Okay, right, because like I beat it. So yeah, I tend to get disoriented when someone speaks, so I would prefer that as my POI. That's it, right? First of all, I'd like to present the fact that the opposition side has been arguing on something that we believe is sorry, off topic, because the thing about narratives is that it can exist whether or not it is true, right? And secondly, I'll also like to rebut the last point that opposition has made, that we should focus our efforts into fighting the patriarchy, not the inside. How would you propose to me in which I get truly fighting patriarchy, because that they believe that they should be patriarchy and they're gonna put down, they believe that they should call out oh shit, I should not. All right, is it smooth there now?
Yeah, try saying a string of sentence.
Hello everyone, I am normal. Is it okay?
It's okay now. So I'm gonna reset your timer. Do you mind starting over again? Because we didn't
Alright.
hear anything. Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
What?
Mic.
Is it fine if I use my like teammate's laptop
That
actually?
is completely fine as long as we can hear you. Yeah.
Alright.
Do I need to change the names or anything?
No. It's completely fine. We know who
Alright.
you are.
Thank you. Okay, so start over, if that's fine.
Yeah, sure.
Is that my timer? So I like to start my speech now. So first of all, I like to start off with rebuttals, obviously, because one thing about it is that narratives can exist whether or not it is true. And secondly, regarding the last point made by the opposition, is that, oh, we should be fighting the patriarchy as it is our main issue. How do you propose that we should be able to fight this patriarchy? We should be able to fight the greater oppressive, misogynistic society if we are infighting by simply putting down these pygmy women without actually giving them any help, any safe spaces, right? And regarding safe spaces, opposition has proposed that we should call them out without victimizing them. I don't quite remember the points, but like we should call them out without making them excluded, I think was what they said. And how do you propose that would actually be able to help stop their behavior? Because the thing about calling people out, all these call out posts that you see on the internet, when has it actually helped with any way of like changing the person? Often they just double down. Often they do not listen to what the views are because they themselves feel like they're being victimized, and they themselves feel like the other person is in the wrong, that they are being they are not they if without the feeling of acceptance, where comes this want of changing, where comes this want of improving yourself, right? So the thing about the opposition's argument that these things justify gender-based oppression, yeah, is that they believe that it affirms the notion that women are only worth something when they are masculine and more conforming. But regarding our current status quo, regarding our society as of now, women do support each other, and women do support each other. Yes, but okay, I'll just go into my own points, right? I believe these portray myself better than I am right now. So first of all, we would like to say that this narrative is too flat. It portrays it flattens down everything. It portrays like the pick-me woman as being the sole oppressors of this solution, and in fact, like, does not take into account greater society, does not take into account like how they have been affected, does not take into account how and why they choose to be the way they are. Pick-me women are not the sole people who are doing all the oppressing here, right? Yes, they might be annoying. Yes, they do push views that may be strange at times, but that is not something that we believe is inherently misogynistic, as we have given in the definitions that we've given just now, that the current view of this narrative of them being misogynistic is simply stemming from them rejecting femininity and trying to be attractive to men by following these masculine things, when actual misogyny would include actual oppression of women, actual like denying them of opportunities, denying them of what they are, what their strengths are, when these people are just trying to find acceptance in some circles or not. Why do pick-me women exist, right? Because in feminine circles, people can be toxic, can be mean, and pick-me women often stem from people who are rejected from these circles due to the fact that they are not accepted because you're not feminine enough, you do not behave correctly enough, as some of us might know, because feminine circles can also be really vicious. And as our prime minister has said that they might be also rejected from male circles because they are not inherently attractive enough as they are. So they're trying to cope, they're trying to find a way to make themselves something that is worth being noticed. They're trying to find a way to be worth something, and so some of them would choose to go down the path of being a pick-me person. What is a pick-me person? In terms of our Infoslide that was given just now, they are just someone who acquires masculine interests and masculine characteristics that they themselves might not actually want or actually follow, just to look for attraction of the male society. So also another point that I'm supposed to be presenting is that pick-me women are not that bad, right? So what are they? They're just little girls. Okay, not necessarily little girls. They're just women, or they're women. They seek out male attraction. They seek out male interest by following these male interests. That, oh, football, I love football. Hey, dude, all these women that don't love football, they're cringe. I don't like them. So they seek out male attraction, but yes, they may be annoying. Yes, they may spew some really strange ideologies, but we believe that they do not do more harm to our current society than they do themselves. What are they? They are insecure people. They require our help, and by spreading this narrative that pick-me women are inherently misogynistic, when this narrative in itself is false and unhelpful due to it portraying just portraying just rejected femininity as being misogynistic, which is something that happens when people throw terms around. It gets diluted. The term does not have the strength it's supposed to have. We believe that this narrative does not help anyone, right? So the women, they are already subjected to this kind of stuff. Or if anything, in general, worse stuff. And what do pick-me women do? They just want to be special. They just want to be unique. Very sorry. Can't see. So when we portray pick-me women as being misogynistic, and we do not when we do not see the fact that they're not actually that bad, they just want to be special, they just want to be accepted, they just want to be unique, we call them out for their supposed misogyny. We exclude them from social spaces because people don't like misogyny when this term is unfairly used and incorrectly used. These people do not get the help that they want, that the opposition side is proposing they're trying to get them. These people do not get included, which is the reason why they're pick-me's, and they might double down. They might feel excluded from society. They might continue to be harmed in itself. So what is this comparative that we can give? In a world where there is no longer this main narrative of the pick-me woman, being misogynistic, we can further examine why they are the way they are. We can find ways to help them. We can find ways to understand why they are like that. We can find sources of the problem, right? So we can solve this issue. And in the world with this narrative, it is in fact believed to be the opposition's nightmare as well, because it would just lead to a lot of infighting. It will lead to a lot of pain because women are oppressed. They're excluded from social circles just for the way they are. In this, we would like to believe that our side will help advance women's rights better. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Deputy Prime Minister, for that wonderful speech. Now, calling upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition. Here.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear.
Am I audible? I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. It's important to note that women can dress and portray themselves however they want, being feminine, be it masculine. Those are decisions women should not be judged for and should not be limited by how the society is currently portraying women. The problem with picking women is how they portray themselves as different by degrading the qualities and characteristics of how women usually are. This is harmful because it only shows how many women do not support each other just for the sake of seeking for male validation. And these are the women that we are talking about, the women who degrade other women just in order to get male validation. Now, firstly, why is male validation not important and is so harmful in the first place? First, it creates a cycle of patriarchy and gender-based discrimination. Male validation is not important and should not be important and should not be something to achieve.
Hi, sorry, my friend is having technical difficulties. I think it's the Wi-Fi. Could we change device?
Yeah, sure. Since it's in the first minute, I'll reset your timer.
All
Yeah,
right,
the
thank
person go
you.
ahead. Just a reminder for the next two speakers coming over. Try to make sure that your internet connection is working. If not, just opt for the better device in this situation. If it helps to turn off your camera, then by all means do so. All right, without further ado, Diallo.
Am I audible now?
Yes, loud and clear.
I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. It is important to note that women can dress and portray themselves however they want. Being feminine, masculine is a decision women should be able to make for themselves, and they should not be limited for that. The problem with picking women is how they portray themselves as different, and they do that by degrading the qualities and characteristics of how women usually are. This is harmful because it only shows how many women do not support each other just for the sake of seeking for male validation. Before going into my extensions and arguments, I'm going to say a clear layer of rebuttals. Firstly, on how the government team explained that the reason why women seek validation is in the first place is because they need it and because they might be excluded if they don't do that. We understand that standing out is important. However, supporting it by not considering picking girls as misogynists is way more harmful because that way they do not understand that they are the problem and they just continue the cycle of misogyny, and how the government explained that calling out strictly women as misogynists is not going to help. We say that this is wrong, and we don't understand why calling them out is bad in the first place. If you're actually going to let them being misogynist, and you are not going to give us any other alternatives to achieve the goal of eradicating misogyny. Now, going into my extensions on why is male validation not important and how it is very harmful. Firstly, it creates a cycle of patriarchy and gender-based discrimination. Male validation is not important and it should not be something to achieve because it only bases itself on the limited standards men have for women. It goes back to the beauty standards we've had since such a long time ago. And besides all those beauty standards, it also goes back to the standards and say that women belong in the kitchen, women should only like take care of their kids, and we think that that is wrong. Secondly, what we need to do is focus on achieving gender equality. Achieving gender equality can start by diminishing and by eradicating the degradation of women and the misogynistic actions that people do. Um, the first step to do this is to address if there are actions of misogyny. If someone is starting to sound like they're degrading or like they're saying bad things about women's levels, we think that that is when we need to start calling them out, and we need to tell them that that is misogynistic, that is bad, and that is part of gender inequality. We need to understand that misogyny is bad, and even side government agree to this. That is to say that our goal and burden should be how we can eradicate misogyny. We need to remind ourselves that we can't ignore the fact that degrading women is a characteristic of misogyny in the first place. Now, onto the second layer of expansion about standing out. The government side of the House explained how seeking validation is not bad and it's justified because standing out is important in order to get what you want and in order to get male validation, which in the first place I explained why male validation is bad. But further extending into your case, I'll explain to you that this is actually backfiring the government side because the fact that women trying to stand out by becoming pick me women are actually more harmful than beneficial for these women because they get this label of being pick me's, and these labels are not beneficial for them, and standing out it just creates a huge and a worse image for them. So weighing into our into both sides, the first on eradicating misogyny, the problem with side government is how they highly rely on women becoming pick because they need the validation, and how they are justifying all of these actions of degrading other women by becoming pick and how they keep giving justifications to those, and how they are continuously trying to explain that calling them out is going to be bad. But on our side, we don't see any alternatives or any solutions coming from the government side in eradicating the misogyny and in achieving gender equality. So that is to say that our side has given and provided to you way better solutions uh, in achieving these issues. So for all of those reasons, I am proud to oppose. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Deputy Leader of Opposition. Now calling upon the government whip here.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, so first of all, my preferred pronouns are he, him, and my um, preferred preferred way of receiving POIs is by vocal. So please turn out your mic if you want to ask POI. So I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the side of the opposition today has been completely neglecting one element of the motion that is very important to what we are discussing today, and that's the fact that there exists a narrative that pygmy women are misogynistic. Now, the thing is, the narrative that pygmy women are misogynistic is actually very, very dangerous, because the thing is, the narrative exists within social circles, the narrative exists within the society itself, whether it is true or not for every certain individual, whether it is true or not for every certain pygmy girls. Now, let me give you like one example. For example, like if a pygmy girl, as my side of the government explained just now, the pygmy girls, they're just people who are just seeking validation. They are people who have presumably not accepted in their own family circles due to their own very special traits, and due to their own very traits, they are not easily accepted by their very own family circles, and therefore they resorted to actually getting male attraction as a result to actually gain affection, to actually gain attraction from the male demographic themselves, which I want to emphasize is not necessarily that bad, because in the end you're just making a lot of male friends, and yes, the way of you making friends, the way you're communicating people might be a bit loud, might be a bit vocal to some people, to the point that you might be annoying, you might be oppressive to some people, but in the end you shouldn't be one to be offended by the fact that they are loud, by the fact they choose to be masculine, by the fact that they choose to like what women to like what men like. And this is very important for discussion today. And then moving on to my other rebuttals. The side of the opposition has pointed out that they are basically like, they want to call out that these pygmy women are misogynistic, and they want to call out not because they want to stop helping them, but just want to stop their misogynistic behavior. Now, first of all, the narrative that they are misogynistic is wrong. It's very wrong, because first of all, they are just normal people who seek male validation due by the means of actually gaining male traits and actually instilling it within them, to actually just making friends, to actually albeit in a vocal way. Now, let me point out one thing. Even if you try to actually call them out to stop helping, even if the narrative they're trying to point, the narrative that you are trying to point out is true, that you are trying to call them out, uh, even if even if you're still trying to stop helping them, it does not work, because the thing is, how would they respond to it? It doesn't work. How should they respond to it? Oh, you're being misogynistic, you should stop being these pick me girls. The thing is, uh even they will respond, they will not know how to respond, because thing is, they will feel invalidated. They will feel like they are being not accepted for what they are. And the thing is, this is very detrimental to who these girls actually are, because they chose to actually be like that, to actually be accepted by whoever they want to be with. And therefore it is very therefore it will actually be very therefore being accepted for what they are doing, as I said just now, is actually very important. Again, sorry. Again, as my second speaker said just now, the fact that the opposition has pointed out that we should stop fighting that the government, the opposition has pointed out that we should actually start fighting the patriarchy, instead of actually like letting these pygmy women downplaying the other feminine traits. Now, here's the thing that infighting already, if the infighting already exists within women, how would you actually expect them to actually be fighting against the patriarchy itself? The thing is, another thing that I want to point out is that uh, the side of the opposition has pointed out that male validation is more important. The thing is, they are already not getting validation in the first place, because the special case that these people are dealing with is the fact that um, they are already being ostracized, they are already being feel left out by their own feminine circles, and therefore uh, they are actually in a state where they actually want to actually seek other resorts. They want to actually seek other sources of gaining affection, because as you all know, that's human nature, and therefore we should not actually say that this act is actually misogynistic, because the thing is, the definition of misogyny itself is that it is actually like not it's actually leaving the society in a state in the state where it actually oppresses the women in terms of like not giving them rights, not giving them certain chances to do certain things. The thing is, if the pygmy woman is actually making you feel invalidated, the pygmy woman is actually making you feel insecure, which should not happen in the first place. Therefore, the narrative of misogyny itself should not happen. Okay. And then another thing I'll point out by the second speaker of the opposition is point out how this actually furthers the misogynistic narrative. You know how women should always be in the kitchen, and how women should always do feminine stuff. And we would like to say that this is a very very huge stretch. That no, the narrative itself is
Sorry,
bad. The
POI.
narrative. Yes.
Am I audible? All right. So my POI is what I've heard from sort of the previous arguments from government is why are we letting discrimination slide simply under the guise of being accepted? To put it simply, if you had a bully, wouldn't you want your bully to be called out instead of just letting him be in order to not be a bully ourselves? Thank you.
All right. So the thing is, the bullying that you mentioned does not exist. They are just basically like being pygmy women, and they are just basically undermining all the other effects of and the or all the feminine effects. They actually it hurts the it actually makes other women feel insecure, and therefore we don't feel like it is right to actually label it as misogyny. Okay, so I would like to say that the side of opposition has failed to show that their work with the fact that the narrative of the women is misogynistic will actually be better than our world, because in their world where the pygmy women are already being oppressed, already being seen as misogyny, will actually add more to the burden that they already have, because they are already seeking, they're actually already struggling to seek the validation from their whether it's from the male circles or the feminine circles. And therefore in our world where we actually try to dig deeper into the problems that each of these women have, therefore we think that with each of these circumstances that each of these women have will actually, like, by solving each of these problems, will actually lead to a better future for each of these individuals. And therefore I rest my case. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Government Whip, for that wonderful speech. Now, to sum up the substantive session of the debate, calling upon the opposition whip. Here.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right. Wait a minute. I need to use my timer. And my PI preference is just unmute your mic, and you can use him. Okay, I'll start in 3, 2, 1. We believe that both sides understand what we want to achieve, and both sides believe that we want to achieve gender equality. But on this narrative, both sides believe that in either way they would help gender equality itself with accepting the narrative or against still stand against it. And in our case, we believe that pygmy girl should be called out so that it prevent other harms, more continuous harms to other women's group, especially the feminine group. And the government believe that pygmy girls is also a victim and they also need help. And we understand that. But the way they're trying to show that pygmy girls as a victim undermine the other inherent problems that are coming from pygmy girls, where they undermine other girls to be accepted in the male groups. And without solving those issues, we believe that the government failed to create those gender equalities as a result of what they want to do, where they want to unite the pygmy girls to the bigger group of women, where if the inherent problems of undermining other girls is not solved yet, then they just become an enemy inside the group, which would harm the group from the inside, which we believe on the opposition side as very harmful and threatening to the gender equality itself. And for that point, I would like to give four comparison on this debate. So on the first occurrence, we're talking about validation. They believe that one of the reasons of pygmy girls become what they are because they are a victim of systemic oppression of other women, where other women do not agree on the traits that they have. But once again, we need to question if you're a woman and you have masculine traits and you're not being accepted to a feminine group of women. Does that mean you should undermine other girls? Does that mean you should feel like you need to fulfill demands attention and expectation of you. You can just join other women's group that have similar traits and not fulfilling what the patriarchy wants, where women be a yes man to the males. And in that case, inherently, woman choosing to be pick me girl instead of finding other women with same interests already a show of bad characters of pick me girls. And supporting that on their case really would harm the community itself inside. And then again, if the narrative is not standing, does that would it inherently means that woman with masculine trait would be accepted in a feminine group? Not necessarily, because that's not the problem. People have different interests, and that's okay. And doesn't necessarily mean that they are misogynistic. But when they become a pick me girl, then they become a problem. And in our case, we understand that, and we see that as an issue. That's why we don't want to accept them yet as what they are, but we need to call them first. And then it continues to my second point. We believe that, and the government believe that they should not be excluded because they're inherently the victim. That's why we need to make them join our side. But if we don't see them as a foe or enemy yet, where we're not seeing them as a whole as an enemy, but we see some actions that could harm the the feminist movement, we could not solve the issues. We actually letting the issue come to our home, which is another continuous problem that cannot be solved by the government. And then uh, they also believe that if we call them as misogynistic, we cannot help them. But that doesn't mean necessarily true. Why? Because people that do mistake still deserve help. But before they get the help, they need to understand what they did wrong to the society. And that's our responsibility to call them out. And then they also talk about my third point why calling out people is harmful and actually make them double down on their opinion. But what happens when you don't call out people that have problems? It also doesn't solve any issues regarding this narrative. But at least what we're trying to do, we understand we cannot make all pygmy girls to understand our views, but we believe that there are some passive actors that don't know. I'm sorry, that don't know that they are harming uh, the feminist movement, harming uh, the woman group as a general. And when we call them out, this passive actor would actually realize that they're doing something wrong and they should revise or reevaluate their actions. And at least we can do that other than just passively, helplessly let them go and do what they're doing and be a harmful actor passively. And then the fourth point is that they believe that they want to unite women and separating them and making them as a group would not help the gender equality movement because we're just grouping women. We agree that women should be united, but we also have standards on who should be, which kind of woman should be united. Why? Because we believe that misogynistic actors is not only the males, but also could be females, as we already talked about. And there are passive and there are active people doing those things. And letting them be and just letting them as a whole and destroying this narrative actually means that the government just want to have another dispute inside the group. And that's why in the first place why we separate pygmy girls from the feminist movement because they are inherently a passive or active actor that could harm them. And that's why we believe that in our goal, at least we're trying to do something that is active and showing that there are problems even in the group of women. And we're actually trying to call them out. With calling them out, we show that they have problems that need to be solved and they actually could get help after they realize that. But what we don't want to have is the world of the government side where they believe that that's their action. We should accept it, even without understanding why it is misogynistic in the first place. And inherently believe that validation is the main point, where validation still could be found on other places. Why should women choose the male expectation first if they don't believe in misogyny, or if they feel like they're not part of the misogynistic problem itself? And because of that, we believe that the government failed to achieve the gender equality, and we, as a opposition, would not necessarily achieve those goals, but try to get closer to gender equality. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Opposition Whip, for that fine speech. That concludes the first round of the debate. Now moving on to the reply session of debate. Calling upon the opposition reply speaker. Here.
Am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear.
I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Inside government's world, calling out women as misogynistic, according to our proposal, is only bad because the reasons to why pick-me women do what they do and become pick-me women are justified. Firstly, let's go into our two main clashes. Firstly, on misogyny and how we can achieve eradicating it. Firstly, I think we both sides of the house agree that misogyny is bad and it should be eradicated, and we need to achieve gender equality. Now, we're on how we can achieve this and how and which side of the house will be able to achieve this better. Firstly, we think that how side government says that they are only seeking validation. These pick-me women are only seeking validation by being pick-me women. We think that that is normalizing and justifying the acts of misogyny, which backfires with achieving the eradication of misogyny and achieving gender equality. We think that only our side has explained and created solutions to achieving gender equality and eradicating misogyny. But secondly, on standing out, let's look back and to ourselves. Is standing out really important? And should it really be something to achieve? We think that yes, we understand and we do agree that standing out is important to get some things that we can't get, especially as women who face double standards, who face gender discrimination, and all the issues that we have explained to you before. So how do we achieve this? Well, obviously not by degrading other women and saying how being feminine or how women who fit into beauty standards are at a lower level. Dealing with misogyny by not facing the fact that the narrative of pick-me women being misogynistic is not going to achieve the goal. It instead puts a bad image for women. I think that it only puts a bad image for women as being a pick-me woman has been and has always has been like a joke to people, and due to this it only creates more harms towards women who are being pick-me's. So first we need to call them out for being misogynistic, and by doing that we think that they are going to this is the first step for them to understand that degrading other women is not going to make them achieve what they want. But secondly, it is also an act of misogyny, and that it is only going to further extend the issues that we have explained to you, such as creating the cycle of patriarchy, and it is not going to achieve gender equality. And for all those reasons, we are proud to oppose here.
All right, thank you very much for the opposition reply speaker. Now calling upon the government reply speaker. Here.
Hi, am I cutting out?
Do you mind reading out the motion for me?
The motion is, oh wow, I don't remember the motion. The motion is this house regrets the narrative that pick-me women are misogynistic.
Yeah, you did not cut out, so you can continue.
Okay, great. Yes, let's hope that goes on for 4 minutes. I would like to start my speech now. So first of all, I'd like to locate our clashes, right? Okay, wait, no, that's wait. So first of all, I'd like to locate the faults and the flaws of the opposition side, because obviously they have them. First of all, they have framed us in this false dichotomy. They've put us in this situation where it's either you call these women out or you passively accept them for the problems that they do. And this is not exactly the case. You can do many things that don't involve fully aggressively calling them out. But I digress. That's not the point of the motion. Secondly, that the opposition has a very oversimplified worldview. As we've presented, these women are pygmy because they have been rejected by their circles. They've been rejected by their people around them. And yes, opposition has proposed just go somewhere else, but that doesn't always that isn't always the case that is possible, right? So sometimes you're just in a small neighborhood, sometimes you just don't have people who are like that. And secondly, that the opposition side has presented, oh, people just have different interests regarding things. You don't have to put down other women because you don't have feminine interest. First of all, this exemplifies their misunderstanding of the info slides. But secondly, still oversimplified worldview, right? It's not that they have different interests, it's that these women feel that they've been ostracized from the community. This is why they are trying in some way, somehow, to make themselves acceptable, palatable to someone, and to be accepted in one way. The way that these pygmy women have chosen is to elevate male interests, to follow these masculine interests, and to be more acceptable to men. So I like to propose our clashes. So first of all, we disagree on what misogyny is. What we believe this narrative, this false narrative of pygmy women being misogynistic, is that they think misogyny means that just in general putting down femininity, just in a disinterested way, or just like not subscribing to it. When misogyny, in fact, includes systemic oppression of women, actually putting down women, actually harming women. This must be the nature of what it is to be misogynistic, right? But the opposition is conflating both of these terms. It is fine. Secondly, our other clash would be that we believe that pygmy women are not misogynistic women. They're not inherently misogynistic women. Yes, there is overlap, but it's not inherent, right? But the opposition is also conflating both of these. They are saying that pygmy women are inherently misogynistic, and this is a narrative that we deeply regret. But I digress. Thirdly, what the hell? Thirdly, we believe our clash is regarding whether or not validation is important. So especially male validation. Why is validation important as presented in the case that we did, right? Is because these pygmy women are in this special case where they have been ostracized by community, as I've said just now. This is why they are seeking out validation. It is not that women are inherently under the thumb of men, that they are inherently seeking out male validation. It's that these women seek out male validation. And why is it important to them? And why is it that we should not present this narrative? It's because that they need help. It's because they're insecure women who should be accepted by the community to actually be able to realize their wrongs and be able to productively change what they've done wrong. How is it that you can tell someone hungry to not steal food? Am I right? So we believe that this also ties back into the fact that opposition has an oversimplified worldview. Lastly, regarding trying to do something, trying to change the status quo, how is it that you are changing the status quo, and how is it that you are unifying women to fight against misogyny by promoting this infighting, by perceiving this group of women who are also under the effects of misogyny to be misogynistic? You are promoting infighting. You are not changing the world. When we would propose accepting them, being able to help them, and actually not ostracizing them. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for that wonderful reply speech. Now, Ryan and I will be moving over to Discord, I believe. Yeah, Discord to be deliberating. So you guys can stay here, and we should be here in about 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah.